Welcome to the first in a series of how to switch from using Fusion to Onshape. So this is my Onshape, which looks a little bit different than yours because I've got a bunch of stuff set up. So we're going to talk about all of these things. I'm going to switch over to the account more like what you're going to look at and take a look at what you're going to see. So you're going to start off with, you've got nothing really here. If you're in the created by me part, you probably don't see some of these things, but you've got nothing going on here. Let's start by checking to make sure that you've got your settings right, which you probably already do. But go up here to find your name and go to my account. That's going to give you a whole bunch of stuff over here, including preferences. So if you click on preferences and scroll down, make sure your units are all like this, please, because I will be using these units to learn with, and that your mouse controls should be the default mouse controls. If you want to change them later, you can, but the videos will show you how this works with the mouse setup as default. All right, let's go ahead and go back to profile here. Actually, let's go up to the Onshape button at the top where you've got nothing going on. We're going to start by learning how to make this thing called the sketch plane cube, and we will talk about how Onshape differs as we go along. Now, learning a new 3D modeling tool is kind of like learning to drive a different car. You drove a Toyota and now you're going to go drive a Ford, and you need to learn where things are, but basically the functions are all going to be the same. The windshield wipers are somewhere. You might just need to find them. The turn signal might be in a different place. The volume control might be in a different place, but it's all still there. You just need to find it. All right, let's start by going ahead and creating a folder. And we're going to call that your last name and your first initial and practice. Now, you've created a folder, and now we're going to go ahead and go into Created by Me. We should have a folder in there. Did I not hit OK? Hold on, let's pause. Actually, if we go back to your Onshape button up here, you should see now that you have that folder, and we can go into that folder and notice it says there's no documents in here. Now, a design in Fusion is kind of like a document in Onshape. So right now, notice we're in this folder. It shows us kind of a pathway up here. You should see your folder up here, and we can go ahead and create a document. Okay, let's go ahead and call that sketch plane cube and create. All right, now let's talk about the interface a little bit before we get started. So right now we are in Part Studio 1. That's kind of like a design studio. We also have an assembly environment. Unlike Fusion, all of your stuff that you're going to be doing, kind of like your timeline, is going to be over here in the browser. It's not going to be in a timeline along the bottom. It will be over here on the left. If you ever don't see this, there's a little minimizer over here that you can open or close. But just like Fusion, you also have your origin points and planes that you can sketch on. All of your stuff that you're gonna do is gonna be up here. Your extrudes, your revolves, all of those sort of things. Sketch is gonna be a little different in this, and we'll talk about how that works in a little bit. Your view cube is over here, okay? Before we get going, let's talk about how to move things around. So zooming in and out, you can use your mouse wheel just like Fusion to zoom in and out of things, okay? Panning is pushing down on the mouse wheel and holding it down and panning. And then orbit, I think, is a little easier actually in Onshape. It's holding down your mouse on the right mouse button and moving your mouse a little bit. Okay, now if you've kind of messed up, we can do just like you click on the corner of the view cube and it'll bring you back to wherever you have an isometric view. All right, let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to start sketching. Notice up here is sketch, and they're going to want you to choose on a sketch plane. Typically, we're going to choose the front. So let's go ahead and while front is highlighted, click on that. Notice it's showing now a preview of our sketch plane. Another nice thing about Onshape is that you can get rid of things you don't want to see, like the planes, by simply hitting P. So let's hit P a couple times back and forth to turn the sketch planes on or off. This sketch plane will stay there. You can't do anything about that. Now, kind of like the green check mark you had in Fusion up here, we have a green check mark for the sketch. If you close this out, you're closing out the sketch. So as long as you're sketching, you need to make sure that you have this little green check mark over here and you haven't closed it. And just like Fusion, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to what sketches you have without closing them and reopening a new sketch. All right. Another thing that can be done here is there's two ways to put this plane perpendicular to us. You can either click on the view cube and it will bring that perpendicular to you, or you can hit the N button, which means normal, which brings that plane perpendicular to our view. So very helpful things. P for planes, N for normal, which gets your vision up, and you can actually hit N to flip it to the back side or the front side. But that makes the sketch plane perpendicular to your vision. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Notice that this stuff has changed a little bit now that we're in the sketch mode. In fact, let's go ahead and close out a sketch for a second. Notice now we're in kind of like what solid is in Fusion. Okay. Now there is no sketch there anymore because nothing was there. So it said, oh, you must have canceled it. Okay. I can either hit restore or let's just try that again. Sketch, front cube. Okay. How again do we get rid of the planes? P for planes, N for normal. All right. Let's go ahead and start by doing a corner-to-corner rectangle. This guy up here, you may not see the same things depending on the size of your screen. You might have to use drop-down menus. And we'll hook up to that origin point. Now, just like Fusion, when you have an undefined object, they're going to be blue. Now, let's click out here. You can always undo, and notice that it's going to give us one option for one of the sides. Okay, this is a little different. So we're going to put in a 2, enter, and then that will go to the other side and go 2, enter. Now, notice everything's black because it's defined. If you have any blue lines, let's go back and redo that. Now I'm still in a command. If I hit escape, it will get me out of that command because it wants to make another rectangle as long as I'm in that command. I like to pull my dimensions off of the object. Now let's say that I messed up and I didn't make a dimension. Okay, so right now this is not defined and I've got a blue line. So if I didn't do it at the beginning, you can also hit D for dimension, D for dimension, or you can click the dimension tab and we can click on this line and define it. Do enter. Cool. All right. So we've got our first shape that we're going to now finish the sketch and extrude. Okay. Now it says, what do I want to do? A solid, a surface, something thin. Solid is what you're going to do most of the time. We don't have anything to add to, so we're making a new extrusion here. Blind means we're going to go a distance, okay? And there's other options we'll talk about later. Now, as you did with Fusion, you always want to tilt things when you're extruding, and we're going to go to 2 inches. You could flip the direction. It doesn't really matter, okay? And we're going to say, okay, cool. All right, so now we've got our 2 by 2 by 2 cube. And notice that down here now we have a part. Parts are like bodies in Fusion. We'll talk about things you can do with that in just a moment. And our view cube shows where the front, right, and top are. So in our sketch plane cube, it says, let's deal with the front first. We're going to draw a circle and set the diameter to 1. We're going to dimension to the center point. We're going to dimension the center point horizontally after vertically, and we're going to extrude to 0.5. So let's do that. We're going to sketch on the front, sketch, front, okay? Again, N for normal so we can see what we're doing. We can tilt it again later. And we're going to draw a center point circle, okay, somewhere towards the middle. Click, click will get us allowed, and then we can enter 1. Now notice it's blue because we can still move it around. Whoops, I don't want to draw another circle. Let's undo that. Undo is your friend. Okay, and we can move it around. Now, remember what the dimension command was? D for dimension. And we're going to dimension from the center point to one of the edges. Okay, you could do a dot, but let's just do that to the edge. Pull out, click. Then we can enter our number and hit enter. Again, if you messed up, hit undo, try it again. Now, here's something that people do sometimes. So we're going to show you a problem. If I try and do that again to the bottom, I went this way. Now I need to go, now I did vertically, now I need to do horizontally. But watch what happens if I try and do vertically again. Come out here and I click 1 and hit enter. Notice that a bunch of stuff turned red, okay? Whenever that happens and you see red stuff, what it means is you've over-constrained things and you're gonna jack it all up. So when that happens, please hit undo. Make sure that you don't have things there. Now, sometimes it will keep this grayed out reference for you. Let's undo that, get it out of the way, because we don't want those weird references in. Whoops, I blew it. Let's dimension again, and this time let's do the right thing, which was horizontally. And it doesn't matter whether you go top or bottom. And these are dimensions, they're not part of it. And notice that this turned black, which means that I've got it fully defined. Okay, let's finish that sketch. Rotate it, hit our extrude, and let's extrude that to 0.5. When you enter the number and hit enter, it will give you a preview, and then enter again to make that happen. Cool. All right. Next, we are going to put something on. Let's go ahead and see what we're doing next. We're doing the top. We're going to dimension a point, and then we're going to use finish the sketch and use the whole command. Let's do that. Sketch on the top. Okay, again, N for normal. Let's put a point this time. Again, your menu might look a little bit different. You might have to search for it. We're going to put a point. Whoops. Point. I want to put that point somewhere right about there. I don't know why it didn't happen the first time. And again, D for dimension. Let's go vertically first with a 1 and horizontally next. 2, whoops, not 2, 1. Okay, so that's in the right spot. And then we're going to finish sketch. Now that we've got that point, let's rotate things around. And now we'll use the whole command somewhere up here. There we go. It'll tell you what it is. And we're going to put our point right there. Now, right now, it's a drilled hole. The size is 1/4 of an inch. We want our size to be 1. Whoops. Oops. That's this one here. Sorry, 1 inch in diameter. Again, enter will give you one enter will give you a preview of what we're doing, and we want our termination to be through all. Okay. And once we're good, we're gonna say, okay, we got that whole check. All right, cool. All right, we got our front, our top. One more. We're gonna do the right side. So we're gonna draw a rectangle. We're gonna dimension it, and finally we'll extrude that to 0.5. So let's go ahead and sketch. This time I'm going to choose the right side over here, okay, which says, okay, you've gone to that view, and now we can sketch on that plane. Okay? So now we're already normal. I don't need to figure that out. Now there are center point rectangles, so we could do it that way. Let's just go ahead and do a corner to corner to rectangle. Click somewhere, click. Now remember, that's going to bring up some numbers. I can put in a 1, enter, which automatically takes me to the other one. I'm going to hit escape or just kind of click somewhere. Whoops, I messed up. Again, escape gets you out of the command, or right click and hit escape rectangle. And because I messed up, let's go ahead and use dimension from there to there, 1. All right, now I need to get that, it's blue, I want it to be black, so we're going to make sure we go D for dimension. I'm going to dimension from there to there. Uh-oh, not sure why this is going on. Let's get rid of that. I'm not sure why my dimensions aren't showing up. Let's hit escape. So let's try that again. Not sure what happened. D for dimension. I'm going to go from there to there. And that is going to be 0.5. Okay. Again, let's go N for normal. And now that I've done my vertical, now I need to do something horizontal. And let's go 0.5. Okay, everything's black, looks good. Let's hit check mark, tilt, and let's go ahead and extrude that again to 0.5. Now, if you flip it, it's going to go the other way. So you remember you always have this flip tool. All right, and there is our sketch plane cube. And notice everything that we've done is over here in our browser. Let's go ahead and turn off the origin to get an image of this. Now, remember, parts down here are like bodies. So let's go ahead and take this part 1, and first of all, let's rename it. And let's call it SPC for sketch plane cube. And just for fun, let's assign a material to it. Now, right now, there's nothing. We can do all sorts of stuff. You can look by category, but let's just go find something to make it out of. Birch. Okay. Now, this won't change the look of it. It will just change what the material is made out of. Notice it doesn't show anything, but we can also edit appearance. So right click on this, let's edit appearance, and just make it one of the colors that you like. Ooh, that is really bright. You know, whatever you want to make it out of, or whatever color you want to make it. That is hard to look at, but go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and get that over here by your browser and take a screenshot of that. And congratulations, you have made your first Onshape part. We will see you for some more learning in just a bit.